Hey everyone, I'm coming to you today to talk about paint types. And when I say paint types, I'm not talking about paint colors, I'm talking about different types of paint as far as the sheen of the paint. I've had a couple of instances this past week that made me go, we need to talk about this. So here I am. So you might be confused, I know some people are, like what type of sheen should I get for my walls? Should I make my walls flat? Should I make them glossy, satin, pearl? There's a couple of different options. So I made a handy little guide that I have on my Instagram page just to kind of give you a little cheat sheet, but I'll just give you a slight rundown on what works best. So this past 2 weeks, I have come into 2 different jobs that we had to wind up changing the paint. One job was a new build and the builder used flat paint on the walls. Now, flat paint is good to hide blemishes, to hide if your walls are uneven. It really kind of soaks in the light and doesn't have any sheen on it, so it doesn't show if there's any ridges or bumps or not so perfect areas. So you could use flat paint if you have walls that are not in great shape. But the downside to the flat paint is that it really does smudge very easily. It's not very easy to clean. It's really not practical in living areas. I like to use flat paint for ceilings. You could use it in rooms, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would go with something like an eggshell, a pearl, even a matte. Pearl is getting a little closer to glossy, but a matte or an eggshell for your walls is great. In your kitchen, you could even go with a pearl because a pearl, the more sheen you have, the easier it is to clean. And we know the kitchen can get really messy. For rooms like bedrooms, dining room, again, eggshell or pearl, you're getting a little bit of sheen in there. And that's if your walls are in really good shape. For ceilings, like I said, I always like to do flat up there. I like it to absorb that light. I don't want a shiny ceiling. So ceilings, I would stick with flat unless you're applying, and I put on my thing here a little decal ceiling. So if you're applying a decal like a gold leaf or some kind of, say, interesting stencil inside of your coffered ceiling or something fabulous like that, you might want to use a sheen on some of the paint in there to kind of draw it out. But that's really when you have like a showpiece and you want to show it off. Otherwise, if we're doing white ceilings, I'm gonna say go flat. And then your trim, you always want it to be a minimum sheen of pearl, semi-gloss or gloss. Number one, it's super easy to clean. When you have that gloss paint, it's super easy to clean. And it's smooth, it covers really well. So that's what you would use for your trim areas. Now the color, that's a whole different story. So if you're having trouble with your paint sheen or your paint colors, give me a call. We could set up an appointment and we can talk about paint for hours and hours and hours, because sometimes that's what it takes. Have a great day.